data mining tutorial. This tutorial is about data mining task, and in this task we'll assume that we have been hired by a retail business which is selling different products, one of them being a bicycle, to learn about customer based on historical purchases, and then using that historical data to make predictions that can be used in marketing. In this case, we want to predict prospective customers that are most likely to purchase a bicycle in the future. Now, in this task, you'll find that we have customer data based on historical purchases. So it means that we need to have some sort of a source data. And in this case, we are going to use SQL Server database to retrieve our source data. We are going to use SQL Server Management Studio, which will connect to SQL Server 2012. Now, the database which we are going to use is called AdventureWorks 2012. And in this case, we are going to use two objects. One is a view called target mail. And if I retrieve the first top southbound rows, you'll find that we have a wide table with several columns, some of them being customer key, first name, middle name, last name, birth date, marital status, email address, yearly income, etc. And this contains a lot of rows. So if I try to select the first 10,000, you'll find that we have several rows. So this will be our source data. So we are going to use what we find here. We are going to use these characteristics here, or these attributes here, to try and predict the possibility or the likelihood of customers purchasing a bicycle. It is like, for example, data mining as a subject is an option subject, and you have selected it, you chose it. So we can use your data, student data, like name, date of birth, the other subject which you've chosen, where you come from, to try and predict the future students who are likely to take data mining as a course. So for example, we can use, after creating a data mining model, we can use this model on the current second year students or first year students to see the likelihood of them choosing data mining as a subject. So in this case, we are going to look at the customer behavior based on their attributes and see what likelihood they have to purchasing a bicycle. To do that, we are going to use SQL Server Data Tools, which is shipped by SQL Server 2012, and we are going to create a new project. And this project will be based on business intelligence analysis services template, and we are going to call it DIT, Data Mining Tutorial. Now, after that, we have a solution of Explorer on the right hand side, which has our name, DIT Data Mining Tutorial, and we have several folders, some of them being data source views, cubes, dimension, mining structure, etc. In today's tutorial, we are going to use data source views, mining structure. We have done cubes and dimension in the previous tutorial during the data warehousing tutorial. So the first task is to identify or to tell the project that this will be our data source. So in the data source, when you right click and say new, you will have welcome to the data source wizard, and we are going to create a new data source. The server name, okay, the provider, just leave as it is. In the server name, we are going to make localhost because the server is, the database is located in this machine. And in the database name, we are going to choose AdventureWorks DW 2012. Now, when you test your connection, say test connection succeeded, and you can say OK. Next is to select the personalization information. We are going to use the service account, and we are going to call this data source as DIT data source, and then you click finish. So in the data source, we have just point to where our database is. The next step is to create a new data source view, and we are going to use the data source which we have just created, DIT data source. We're going to select next, and in this case we are going to use vtarget mail and the table called prospective buyer. We are going to use these two objects, and we are going to call this DIT data source view, and we are going to finish. So it is important to remember to save your work regularly. And now here we have two objects which we are going to use them in our data mining task. One of them being vtarget mail, which is a view, and it has a lot of columns. And the second is prospective buyer. Now, the following step is to actually decide, for example, which columns are going to be used as a predictive column, which columns are going to be used as an input column. And to do that, we are going to create a mining structure. Now, we will select the existing relational database because or data warehouse, that is what we are going to use. And the mining structure which we are going to use, the first one, the mining model, is Microsoft decision trees. But actually you can change here what you want. You have clustering, naive Bayes, neural network, sequence clustering, time series, and association rules. But for now, we are going to select Microsoft decision trees. And we are going to use the data source view, which we just created. Here, we are going to use target mail as a case. Okay, so it means that we will be using the target mail to look at the behavior of the customers. Now, training data is the one which is going to be used to train our model. And we have spoken about training and in the previous lectures. So I hope you still remember. The aim of the task is to predict who is likely to purchase or to buy a bike. So the bike buyer column will be our predictable column. So the end result is we would like to know who will purchase the bike. And we are going to use several columns as our input columns. For example, we are going to use age as input so that this we will try to look at the age to see age category of customers who have bought a bicycle. And also we are going to look at commute distance. It means that we are going to look at the distance from home to work as an input column. Maybe this influence people in purchasing a bike. And I'm going to fill in here with English education as input, English education, gender is important factor, geographic key, it will provide a location, house owner, if this person owns the house or not, marital status, single, married. I think single and married, not in relationship or divorced or something like that. I'm not sure. I think single or married. And then numbers of cars owned, number of children at home, region, total children, and the yearly income. So it means that we are going to use these attributes to try and predict the likelihood of purchasing a bike. And then I'm going to select some few attributes which we will use in the future, which we'll use in the future, not in data mining, in creating models, but in predicting them. I hope after finishing all three videos, then you will see how we are going to use this address line, for example, and address line 2, and other columns which I'm going to select. Date first purchase, email address, which we are going to use now to email other people, first name, and last name. So let me check again that we have age as input, commute distance as input, English education. Okay, here is not known, it's not email address, it's English education and English education. Okay, gender. Okay, geography, house owner flag, marital status, numbers car owned, etc. Now, it is important to get this correctly because we are going to use them a lot in the future. The next step is to specify column content and the data type. Okay, again, we've done this before partially, so I'll just do it again. In this case, we have address line, content type discrete, data type text. So I'll try to change. So address line 1 is discrete text, address line 2 discrete text, continuous long, bike buyer is discrete. So change here, and here should be text. Commute distance, discrete, customer key is key. That date, first purchase is continuous and it is date. email address discrete, English education discrete, gender geography district. Yeah, it should be text. House owner flag district, last name district, numbers of car owned should be district, number of children at home should be district, region district, total children should be district, and yearly income continuous. Data type and content type will determine how to process a particular column during data mining. So it is very important to get it right. We are going to select only 30% of the total data for testing. And then we are going to use the remaining for checking if the trained model is working correct. It is written here, input data will be randomly split into two sets, a training set and a testing set, based on the percentage of data for testing and maximum number of cases in the testing data set you provide. The training set is used to create the mining model, and the testing set is used to check model accuracy. We've covered this during lectures. Now, I will call this mining structure BIT, mining structure, and I will call this mining model TM decision tree, and I will allow for drill through, although I hope we'll have enough time to go up to the drilling through part. Okay, so again, I will check the columns which will be used during the mining. Now you'll find that the address line 1, address line 2, email address, last name, first name, they are not here because they will not be used during the data mining, but they'll be used in other things. So we'll click finish, and then we'll have now our mining structure. Now on top we have several, let me save first. On top we have several tabs. We have mining structure, which is here. We have mining models, which at the moment is only a decision tree. We are going to add 2 more here. And we have other things as well, which we'll cover in a few minutes to come. Okay, so save. Now, for example, if you make a mistake in the structure, then you can make the correction here. For example, if you want to change yearly income from continuous to something else, then you just click it, and then you come to the properties here, and then you can change. At the moment, I want to set the whole of seed to 12. That is, after every 12 units, then you should pick one as a training set. Okay. Now the next step is to add additional mining models. At the moment, we have a decision tree, so we right click the structure and then the structure column, and then we click new mining model. The mining models which we are going to add is 1, clustering, and here you select Microsoft clustering. Okay, and then clustering will be added there. And two, the second one which we are going to add is naive Bayes. CM Bayes, and we are going to select naive Bayes here, and it will tell you that usually in naive Bayes, okay, let me read it here. The Microsoft naive Bayes algorithm does not support the context type contained within mining structure columns in the following columns: age and yearly income. So it means that in our mining model, the age column, where we find the age here will be ignored, okay, and yearly income also will be ignored. Now here, the last step in this case is to process them. So in the mining models, we have a button which is called process the mining structure and all its related models. So we have to deploy it, and this is the moment of truth. Sometimes it refuses to run. Okay, so I hope it will run and it will be successful. So let's wait. Okay, the deployment is good. So now we can, so that we can access the model. Okay, so we have two informational, okay, but it's not important. We can close and we can close. Now we can come to mining model viewer tab to view our model. Okay, the first one by default which will appear is decision tree. Okay, by default, and mining model here is TM decision tree. We can change here to clustering, and we can see what will appear. And then the last one is naive Bayes. Now, this stage, up to this stage, we have seen how we chose our source data, how we created the data source view, and how we created the mining structures. And remember, during mining structure creation, we chose the predictable column and we selected the input column which will be used to determine the predictable column. And then we selected three different mining models, decision tree, clustering, and naive Bayes. This will be the end of video 1. And in video 2, we will explore now our mining model to look how they compare with each other. And in the video 3 now, we are going to perform prediction. So thank you very much for watching.